Hi, it's Ryan Casey, sales trainer, Orange Theory studio owner, and today we are finishing up our 4-part series on running great staff meetings for your sales team. If you haven't checked out the first 3 parts of the series, make sure you go ahead and go back and do that. We've covered preparing your meetings, involving your staff, and teaching to your staff's learning style. Today, we're going to finish up with one of the most important topics, and that is getting traction or results from your meetings. Because what's the point of running them if you're not going to experience any benefit from them, right? The reason you have meetings are to create change or action. You don't have them just to fill in the schedule or so you can talk to your staff for an hour, or just because your boss or your owner told you that you have to run them. So here are 4 quick keys on getting real results from your meetings. Number 1, decide on the outcome that you want. We mentioned this during the planning, but it's worth revisiting. Be specific. What do you want to happen because you ran this meeting? Some examples could be, we want to improve our closing percentage. We want great execution on this new promotion that you're running. Maybe improve staff communication or morale, increasing the amount of scheduled guests during each shift, making your staff feel great about how they're doing and just working here. You know, maybe they're going through a tough time. There are a million different outcomes you could plan for. So make sure you plan for a specific outcome or outcomes if you're covering a couple different topics. And by the way, I wouldn't try to cover a million things during your staff meeting. That's a recipe to be ineffective. You know, you want to hit your staff with a fire hose of 1 or 2 topics, not a sprinkler with a million of them. If you cover a million different things for them to think about, the chances of them taking action on any of them are much less. So if you give them 1 to 2 topics to implement and spend the time on why those are important and how to do it, then you're going to get a much better result. So the outcome also shouldn't be the same for each meeting or a generic outcome. If your outcome is just, we want to get better and sell more, well, you're not being specific enough and you probably won't get either of those things. So that's the first tip. Second tip is set the right expectations before the meeting. Set the expectation. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want your team to accomplish? So meetings turn out great because of how everyone shows up. Each person is responsible for showing up at their best, for bringing value, and for making an effort to extract value from the meeting. So everyone's input is valued. It shouldn't be a top-down meeting, but everyone on equal footing. Everyone leaves with action steps. You know, meetings are effective because of what is implemented after, not just because it feels like you ran a good meeting at the time. And to make this happen, communicate with your staff before the meeting. You know, you can send a quick video of, hey, here's what we're covering, or an email with announcements that they should be aware of coming into the meeting, or any resources they're going to need. But keep this short, way less than 5 minutes. You know, the shorter, the better. And if you give them too much to prepare, they just won't do any of it. And then they come to the meeting feeling bad and guilty because they didn't do all the homework that they were supposed to before the meeting. So some things you should let them know: what you will be covering and what's in it for them, right? Maybe it's a cool promotion that's going to make sales easier for them, or you're going to make the phone easier by covering some different tips. Or maybe it's a fun activity or a cool personal growth topic that you're covering. But the best way to set expectations, though, are through individual conversations with the people who you really want to contribute, or the people who really need to hear what you're covering at that meeting. So something like, hey, Susie, you know, we're going to be covering the phone this week. And I know a lot of people are a little intimidated by it, but the whole staff looks up to you. So I really need you to bring a little extra enthusiasm for this meeting of like, hey guys, we got this phone, let's crush it. Do you see how the impact that could have on everybody else? Yeah, awesome. Well, hey, thanks a ton. I really appreciate your leadership. Having some individual conversations with people of maybe it's just bringing more energy to the meeting or showing some excitement about a different topic, or hey, we're really going to help you out with that. I know that's something you've had questions on this last week. That will help bring more engagement to the meeting when you're setting the right expectation before the meeting even starts. Third tip, monitor your traction after the meeting. Look at the results to see if you're effective or not. You know, we often leave a meeting and say, that was awesome, or that was terrible. But truth is, you really don't know immediately. You need to see the results. Are you monitoring your progress towards the desired outcome that you had for that meeting? And when you see the results improving, you want to recognize and share that immediately. Right? Create some momentum and energy around it. Hey, it's only 2 hours after the meeting and Carrie already set up 3 guests for tomorrow using the stuff we talked about at the meeting. Or we've sold 6 of the new promotions just in the last 24 hours since we had our meeting. This creates enthusiasm and confidence in the rest of your staff, and it also shows them the meeting was valuable, so they look forward to the future meetings. Last tip, number 4, create the culture of having action steps. During the meeting, everybody should have something to take notes with, and the goal should be to come up with 1 to 3 action steps per person. You don't need a ton of them, just at least a couple. So you don't want to get in the habit of your people just sitting around listening. Sometimes they get more excited and then nothing actually changes after the meeting. Action steps should be something they can do to increase their performance right away. And to really drive this at the end of the meeting, you can take 1 minute and just review, go around the room and have everybody share what is their 1 or 2 action steps. For our management team, we would finish each meeting by writing the action steps on a whiteboard or a big piece of a white sheet of paper there. And throughout the week, the manager would follow up with every single one of those and follow up with the people who had those action steps to make sure they were getting done. At the beginning of the next meeting, we would start by looking over that list of action steps from the previous one to make sure we covered everything. If there was something we didn't get to, we put that as a priority for this upcoming week. But we had a culture based around getting things done, action after the meeting. So if you really want to ensure those action steps are getting taken care of, there are 2 places that I would transfer those action steps to. So if they're taking notes on it after the meeting, you want them to put those notes into one of 2 places. Number 1 is their schedule or their planner. Maybe it's a Siri reminder, but if it's something they have to remember to do, make sure it actually gets put into their schedule planner so they remember to do it. Siri makes things really easy. All the automated reminders, you can do that. That helps out a ton. The second place they can go are in their scripts or the programs or their priority list of what do I need to do today. If it's something they need to adjust or improve for their calls, their sales meetings, or any other duties they have, then make sure that they're having them put that in their outlines. You don't want everything to be covered at that staff meeting just to be in one ear and out the other. By putting those action steps in one of those 2 places, you give them the best chance of actually being accomplished and making that meeting effective. That's it. Those are the 4 tips. Number 1, decide on a specific outcome. 2, set the right expectations with your team before the meeting. 3, monitor your results to make sure you're on pace for that desired outcome. And then 4th is create a culture of having action steps. So this concludes our 4-part series on running great staff meetings for your sales teams. I really hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. If you have questions or any topics that you'd like to hear about, go ahead and leave them in the comments, reach out. I'd love to hear them, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, the like button, and be sure to share it with anybody who you think this might help. Help me share that sales doesn't have to be that scary, intimidating thing when you do it right. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.